Welcome to Oceanic Flight 815. Just a reminder that excessive consumption of alcohol is a clear and direct violation of critical FA regulations. Welcome to Lost All Caps. After
my
talking,
favourite flirt,
it's
Jack.
incredible. After talking loads at the start about, oh, are the levels okay, I decided to scream into the microphone.
Yeah, as soon as you did that, I saw the computer screen go massive, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I just felt like we needed a throwback, you know?
Yeah, I think we need a reminder of how far we've come.
How far we've come, exactly.
In the long 8 weeks since this began.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're on episode 8 now.
Episode 8. It's
crazy times.
Crazy
so,
days.
Oh, I'm Ariel, by the way.
And I'm Velvet.
We have 3 orders of business before we get down to business.
This is season 1, episode 8, Confidence Man.
It is indeed. But we have 3 things that we need to address before we begin. Number 1, you'll know if you've watched the episode. Imagine if you come into this having not watched the episode.
I mean, what are you doing here?
Crazy.
If you haven't seen it.
Hey.
I mean, listen, if you want to just listen to us, then
Absolutely.
I support your support, but it would be crazy to be listening to this having never seen the episode.
Imagine if you listen to us and then go and watch the episode. That'd be such a fun way of doing it.
That'd be like, you know how people say, like, if you watch the film before you read the book, then you, like, have all your, like, you can't imagine, like, what they look like.
You can't watch the show without our voices
without
running
us
around
going,
your head.
I hate this guy.
No, so that's not one of the orders of business. One of the orders of business, number 1, if you've seen the episode, then you know that this is one of the sort of darker and more intense episodes of the show.
Yes,
so
definitely.
we just wanted to clarify at the top of the podcast that today we're going to be talking about torture, violence, suicide, sexual harassment, and emotional manipulation. Just wanted to clarify all of those. Order of business number 2. After dressing up as Wario and Waluigi last week, we subsequently went to a Comic-Con dressed as Wario and Waluigi. And who did we meet? We walked in the door about
30 seconds in.
30 seconds in, we meet a huge group of people who are all dressed as Mario characters.
And you may remember last week us saying there was a man who we met at Comic-Con 2 years ago who was dressed as Waluigi, who kind of inspired the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you'll never guess who was with them.
That guy! He was there!
Yeah,
which is incredible.
If you're listening, I've forgotten their name, which feels terrible. But
I want to say Robin.
I think it's Robin.
Well, anyway, we wanted
If you're
to
listening, thank you so much. We had a great time meeting you again.
We're going to give you a proper shout out now that we can. We got chatting to him, lovely guy.
We've got his Instagram and we will give him a bit of a shout out.
b.cos
COS
_wah.
WAAH.
You should know how to spell it if you're a true Waluigi fan.
And
that's his Instagram. He's like a proper cosplayer, so go check them out. And
got some very fun
stuff. We had a lovely time at the Comic-Con.
Yes, oh my gosh, it was brilliant.
It was so, the vibes
we
were
also,
on point.
we met Hacker the dog.
Hacker the dog was there.
Hacker was there. Which was crazy. We didn't know he was going to be there, and then we got upstairs to this celebrities section, and we were like, is that Hacker? And then he turned to me with the puppet and went, Wario!
I did!
And I went, that's Hacker.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And so we queued up, we got a photo.
Yeah, he did we're just normal men. We're just innocent men.
We've got it on video, right up close to Ariel's face.
Oh, highlight of my life, honestly. It was brilliant.
Fabulous.
So we met, shout out to Hacker. If there are Americans listening to it, they're like, what the fuck is she talking about?
Yeah, if you don't know who Hacker the dog is, look it up.
Look him up.
I know who Elmo is, why don't you know who Hacker is?
Real. That's the tea. Oh my god. Look him up. And we also met 2 people who were dressed as Beetlejuice and Lydia.
Which was very fun.
And they were carrying my notebook. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Which is amazing. Oh, if you can't see, my notebook that I make the notes for these podcast episodes in is the handbook for the recently deceased from Beetlejuice.
Yes, and Lydia had it, which was very fun.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know that was from Beetlejuice.
Did you not?
Until I saw them And I was like, oh, of course, that makes sense.
So we had a great time.
We had a fabulous time. It was so much fun. By the time this is out, I'm sure Beetlejuice 2 will be out.
Yes.
So, I mean, obviously we can't say anything about it because it's not out yet, but we're excited to go see it. It's going to be good, hopefully.
Yeah. And then order of business number 3, we have an official podcast mascot.
We're so excited to introduce you to Zombie Lady. If you're listening to this and you can't see us, obviously, head over to our Instagram. We'll be posting some pictures of Zombie Lady for you
1000%.
all to see. So, Zombie Lady, I'm going to present her to the camera
Put
right
your hand behind her like you're an influencer. Yes, that's the one.
So, basically, the story behind Zombie Lady is I was visiting Ariel at university last summer, and randomly they had like a fair situation on in the park, like across from her house. And so we were like, they had a big inflatable slide, and I think we were like, let's go on the inflatable slide.
That was the main draw, yes.
That was the goal. We didn't end up going on the inflatable slide, unfortunately.
Because it was for children.
And also it was like £2.50 a turn, which was frankly extortionate. Which, yeah. But we did find a section, a little kind of arcade that had, you know, grab machines and like an air hockey and 2P machines. And we grew up in Scarborough, which is obviously a bit of an arcade central
seaside
on the coast.
Town. It's got insane arcades. So this was like our childhood.
This is our shit. Like if you ever put me on Tipping Point, I would eat it up.
We would clean them out. Honestly.
1,000%.
I think we'd take all the tokens home, and I truly believe that.
I truly believe I'd win. I think the trivia, but...
The trivia's super easy on Tipping Point.
Is easy.
It's like, who was the first man on the moon?
Yeah, I feel we'd be alright.
It was Luther Hargreaves, we all know that.
Exactly. And so... as part of we found Zombie Lady inside a 2P machine.
One of the 2P machines.
So
and we were like, she's so cool.
To paint you a picture of what she looks like, she is wearing a red t-shirt and black trousers, and there are chunks of flesh taken out of her body, and she has incredibly prominent teeth, which I can only assume are for biting. And they're clearly supposed to be a rip-off of The Walking Dead, right? Because behind her is a big sort of a panel with a blood splatter on that says Terror Corpse in the Walking Dead font, and underneath it just says zombie. Terror Corpse zombie. So I can only actually I lie. It says Terror Corpse, and then underneath Terror Corpse it says dangerous.
Ooh.
Not only is she a Terror Corpse zombie, she's also dangerous.
She's extremely dangerous.
And when we won, there was only one. There was lots of zombie men, but there was only one zombie lady.
Yes.
And we spent so long trying to win her.
And obviously, I'm a girl's girl.
I'm a feminist.
Women supporting women.
And we won her, and then we thought she looks like a character from Lost.
She could be on the island.
She could be. She has like the outfit. And we were like, at this point, if a zombie walked out of the forest, like, it wouldn't be the craziest thing.
No.
And so we brought her home, and then the day after was when we first took the photos for our logo.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the day that the podcast became official. And so we thought, fittingly, she should become the official mascot of the podcast. So she's in Perspex jail right now in the box.
Take her out of the box.
But we can take her out.
Free her. Free my girl.
ASMR. I don't know if that's a nice noise to listen to, really. Me opening a box. We can bring her out. She's poseable. Her arms move. Her head doesn't move, but her waist moves 360 degrees. Which is just hilarious. And she's
great. She's fantastic.
So I'm just going to pop her here, standing next to my mic. And, you can't see her, but she's there.
Yeah, always with us.
Zombie ladies are like stars. You can't always see them, but they are always there.
Wow. You should get that printed on a canvas and hang it up in your kitchen.
So, I think those 3 orders of business are particularly in keeping with the tone of today's episode.
What? Because one of them's really dark and the
one
others
of them
are,
being
like,
incredibly
goofy.
intense and the other 2 being... So the thing is, this is quite a dark episode, and also we have some very strong opinions on this episode because we have some very strong opinions on Saywer.
Yeah.
And so I have a feeling we're going to get a bit intense at moments, but we're going to try and keep it light. We're going to try our best to keep it fun. Yeah, so in that respect, are we ready to get started?
I think we are.
So yeah, my opening note just says bananas.
Does it now?
Bananas dash food. Is the first note I wrote down.
Oh, because Kate's
in case you weren't sure what the bananas were, they're food. Because I actually really enjoy that shot because it's just a little thing, but it's like they're not just eating boar. You know? Because I was like, sure, they have boar and like fish, but like that's not exactly a balanced diet. And I like that she has the bananas. There's a scene in a couple of episodes where they talk about eating other fruits as well. And I just think that's nice. I think it's nice that they do make an effort to still be like, okay, but how are they surviving? Like, at this point, we've made it past the water thing. We've made it past, like, some of the other stuff that's, like, that kind of... Yeah, we've moved past the, like, really severe survival instincts, but we have still gotten, you know, we've got a little nod to, like, they are still scavenging for food. And I like that.
Yeah.
Also, that bunch of bananas is, like, the same size as Kate, and I appreciate that. It's a hilarious shot of her walking up the beach.
I mean, do we need to talk about the fact that he gets his dick out within 2 minutes of the episode?
Why is he completely naked?
Because it's Saywer.
I know, but it's also like, you're on a beach with 50 other people, and you still decide to get completely naked and then go in the ocean?
Yeah. Well, what would you suggest? He takes his boxers off while he's underwater.
Well, I just...
flings them back to the sand so they get all sandy and wet.
Doesn't fling them back to shore. Like, if you wanna like get totally naked in the water to clean yourself, like, you can go in underwear on and then kind of take them off and give them a bit of a wash and then put them back on again.
Back on? Waterlogged? Are you insane?
Well, what would you do?
I would go to a quiet area
where a boar could attack you.
Not going to be around. The boar's not going to attack me when I'm in the water. They probably can't swim. Probably.
I mean, they might come to have a drink and then just, like, go for you.
Well, I could take them.
Okay.
I've secretly got a knife stored between my toes.
Just tar a bunch of tiny razor blades.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy the rest of that scene.
No.
I like the bananas bit and the rest of it is just awful.
And the first flashback that we get immediately after that, I feel like it's very sort of typical. It's like, this is what we'd expect from a Saywer flashback.
100%. You're like, if you know it's a Saywer episode and you were to ask me, like, what's the first flashback?
It's gonna be that.
It's gonna be that.
It's gonna be that. We don't need to dwell on it. I don't think.
And also I feel like it's not... This flashback isn't particularly revolutionary. It's nothing like, oh, and his life is totally different to how we thought it was.
Yeah, it's just weird because a lot of the other characters' first flashbacks are quite a big thing.
I suppose the point is that we spend the episode being... it's like a suspicions confirmed thing. It's like, oh, he does suck and he is awful. And then the ending... is the bit
the twist
that supposedly flips your perspective of him.
Yeah. I love how you added supposedly in there. We're gonna get into it,
We'll get to it.
Yeah, we've got a very long pre-intro sequence.
It is very long.
In this episode. There's like 5 scenes, but then
then you've got him running through the jungle, finding Boone. Boone decides he's in charge again, just a little bit. I mean, obviously it's a different context than all the other times he decided he's in charge, because this is a situation of like, Shannon's gonna die, but it is just him taking it upon himself to do things, which is, I love that it's a really massive running theme for him, that he tries to be in charge and then it just doesn't work.
Yeah. And then you've got Jack treating sort of Saeed's head wound, which it really made me giggle the way he goes, "Ready to tell me what happened?" It's like, are you his mother? What's going on?
It feels like he's gone to the school nurse.
Literally.
And who hit you?
if anything happens to your head, we have to fill out one of those slips. Send it back home with
Listen, you can tell me and we'll put them in detention. It's okay. No one has to know. If someone's bullying you, Saeed, you need to tell me. Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah.
Please tell me what happened. And also the fact that Saeed seems incredibly open. He, like, immediately is like, yeah, I got smacked in the head. Like,
yeah, it's like, Jack, what are you doing?
Did he lie about it first? Maybe it was just like a no time for that. Am I concussed?
Yeah,
situation.
Maybe. That happens off screen, but it felt very weird. I was like, okay, sure, Jack, sure. Hit from behind was a phrase that was actually said, which made me giggle. Yeah. I feel like we mentioned this last episode, right?
Hit from behind is a card in the board game. Yes. I think we did discuss it because we discussed the hit. But yeah, they actually say it, which was nice.
And then Boone, like,
all bloody.
Yeah, comes in. It's been beaten up by Sawyer.
Do you want to know something I noticed this episode, which I really enjoyed? It's a little thing. But you know how I get really obsessed with the costume design?
Yes.
So, not Saeed, Boone obviously starts this episode. Well, this scene, he's all kind of covered in blood. He's been, like, smacked in the head by Sawyer or whatever. At the end of this episode, his shirt is all brown.
Right. Because of the dry blood.
Because of the dry blood.
Ooh.
And that never happens. You never really get in TV or in, like, state plays or whatever, the, like, blood going brown. It's always bright red, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we don't watch enough stuff that has gore
in. But I feel like everything's always red, and, like, obviously immediately upon an injury happening, the blood would be bright red, but it's like, yeah, I was like, I like that it has, there's a progression of it. He hasn't washed his shirt, he hasn't changed his shirt, and then the blood has dried and it's gone brown. And I just appreciate that little detail.
Yeah, that is a fun little detail. Can we talk about the blood splatter? We're getting way ahead of ourselves here, but that goes on Saeed's vest.
Yes!
Hello! That looks so cool.
The, like, come, like, up from Sawyer's arm.
Yeah.
Very cool. Also, I like the, like, whose blood is that? Sawyer. He's just immediately like, I stabbed him.
There are so many moments where they all go like, "Who do you think?" Sawyer. Like,
take a wild guess. It's
even
so funny.
Even like the husband does it, right? Jin. We know his name at this point. Don't we?
Yeah. Jin.
Yeah. Sorry, I forget what I'm allowed to say. What I'm not allowed to say on this damn podcast. Even Jin, who can't speak English, at one point just points at Sawyer.
I love his dramatic point. That was like 5 episodes ago, but it's so fun.
We're still thinking about it.
Yeah, and then, the tone is immediately in keeping with the general tone of this episode, I feel.
Oh my god.
We have another delightful legs up shot.
Did we?
Of Claire on the beach. She's got the black dress on now, and it was a foot up shot of her.
I was obviously writing something when that happened. I didn't notice that.
But also, something that made me... I mean, it's not intentional, I don't think, but it did make me laugh a little bit, was that she's got just the dress on for that scene, and then, like, the rest of the episode she has these, like, can I just say hideous blue shorts on. That I can only assume are probably, like, she's probably put them on because there's not much that fits her. But it was like, I felt like really, because it was like they've done the leg shot and then she immediately puts shorts on. It feels like she knows.
Gosh, yeah. Do you think they're waltz?
Well, that would be massive shorts.
That would be me on the island. The way that I can still fit into, like, I have a pair of pajamas that are 10 to 11 years.
That's
not even
hilarious.
a joke. That'd be me. I'd be wearing waltz clothes. We'd be swapping outfits. I'd be giving him a makeover.
I mean, everything he wears is really baggy also, so, like...
Yeah, perfect.
It's all good. Is Walt in this episode? He's not in it. I just realised.
So, yeah.
Because Michael's there, but I don't think Walt is.
Oh.
Just interesting.
This is why it's shit.
Why it sucks. Where was Walt? Whoa!
Me looking for Walt in this episode. Whoa!
But yeah. But I do kind of enjoy Claire and Charlie's plot line in this episode. I think the peanut butter thing is kind of cringe. But it is kind of cute as well, you know?
I mean, I was going to ask you what you thought about it, because the very final scene where he has the imaginary jar of peanut butter, I can't decide whether I think it's cute or weird.
This is the thing. Me too. Because I think, in general, I think Claire and Charlie are very sweet, you know? And then every now and then you're like, this is a bit strange behaviour coming from Charlie. Like,
certainly we're only on episode 8, gang. At the minute, they're lovely and sweet.
They're very sweet, and it's just very nice
because no one season 2.
No one really talks to Claire, you know.
No,
and she acknowledges that, and I think it's really sweet that, like, I think she's acknowledged that, and then it seems like Charlie's made a bit more of an effort to, like, go and speak to her, you know.
Yeah,
which I think is nice. And they have a lot of jokes, you know, which is very sweet. But I do think the peanut butter jar, the fake jar of peanut butter, I wouldn't say, like, weird in, like, a creepy way. No. It's just weird in a bit of a, like, that's the conclusion to this plot
weird. Line. It's like, I get it, because they're on an island and it's like, we got to find our amusement, our entertainment somewhere.
Yeah, and they're talking about all the stuff that they miss, and they're being like, we just have to pretend. Whatever, but
also part of me's like, it's just to get her to move to the caves.
Yeah.
But then, you know, I don't think he's got bad intentions.
No, it's not that he wants to get her to move to the caves for some kind of nefarious reason.
No.
It's just like, he wants her to move to the caves because he thinks it's safer.
Yeah.
And he thinks she should be, you know, near Jack, which is fair enough.
Yeah, completely. And also near him. I think.
And also near him, you know.
Acknowledge that part, you know.
Yeah, because he likes her and he wants to be around her.
Yeah, but I don't think that's that weird.
I know. But it's just like, yeah, it's just a bit...
It's an odd scene.
It's an odd scene. I don't know how I feel about it.
Me neither.
But I think in general, it's just quite sweet. As a plot line, and as a sort of side plot line that's, like, very low stakes, you know?
Yeah, it's our C plot of this episode,
It's the nice, like, light, it's okay, where, like, people are dying.
Everything else that's happening is
Everything else is
intense.
really intense, and they're like, it's okay. Because these guys are just being sweet. And I do like that. So an immediate follow-up of us discussing Boone and his being covered in blood, possibly my favourite line of his entire dialogue so far is, Jack, it's fine, grabs him dramatically. That really made me laugh too.
It was the angle for me. It was like the kind of, he had his head angled up at a really weird and awkward angle.
His head angled up, and it's the way he's like, it's fine. He's clearly trying to be like mask his way out of it, and then he like grabs Jack on the leg or something because it hurts. It's just so funny.
Yeah. No notes, great scene.
No notes, perfect. Also, the idea that Watership Down is Boone's book.
Yeah. Why are he reading that?
He's reading it. I just think it's fun. It's a fun thing to learn about Boone.
Yeah.
Watership Down is his book.
Canon event. Boone is an enjoyer of Watership Down. Well, that was kind of a great segue into what I'm about to discuss. This is the one time I agree with Shannon.
When she's not doing anything.
No, because I also have asthma, and I agree that breathing is not cool.
Right,
having asthma is so embarrassing. It's like, yeah, okay, I have to get the thing out and shake it and then wait 20 seconds and all of that. It's just like, I feel like I'm just apologising for needing to breathe every time I do it. I'm like,
I mean, that's fair.
And so I'm like, yeah, Shannon is correct. Breathing is not cool. I'm with her on this one.
Is this like my Jack Hay fever thing?
Yes, it is. This is the sequel we didn't know we needed.
Shannon's asthma. Yeah.
I see myself on screen.
do you, I mean, yeah. I was going to say, like, do you think I would have to carry your inhalers? No.
No.
I forget you have asthma. Frequently.
This is how supported I am by my sibling.
Well, yours isn't that bad, so I just like...
No, it isn't, actually. I mean, I mainly just cough a lot, hence
the
coughing just then.
But shall we discuss the entire asthma plotline here?
We can do. I'm going to have to flick around my many, many pages of
because
things
I
that I've
think
stapled in.
This might be, across the entire series, one of my favourite Sun moments.
Really?
Because I just think the way she just kind of saves the day.
Yeah, no, it is great.
Is really brilliant. And, like, it being that, like, they're all focused on trying to find the medicine. And it's her that goes, just find something that can help her. Like, find something on the island that can help her. What is it? Is it eucalyptus?
Don't you say, what is it, like you don't know.
Sorry, as soon as I said that, I remembered the whole eucalyptus thing.
It's really awful because the moment in which the eucalyptus is used in the show is a really sweet and poignant moment. As you say, it's one of Sun's best moments. It's a lovely moment of connection. It's like she saves the day, Shannon's going to be all right. It's a wonderful thing. However,
so when we were playing the Lost board game, I think it was the second time we played, we as we've mentioned before, we like to come up with sort of little narratives going along with it, and I think it was my sort of party, so to speak, of characters was Sayid and Jin. And Jin was injured. He'd been, like, attacked by a boar or something, I don't know, I don't remember. And they moved to, like, a new location, and I picked up the eucalyptus card, which is, you know, it's like you can play it to heal one of your characters.
Yeah, it's an item, basically.
It's an item, so, like, I gave the item to Sayid, and then Sayid played it. But we just decided it was just a really intensely homoerotic moment of, like, applying eucalyptus to his wounds and then being like God, you're gonna get yourself killed.
Yeah.
Don't be so stupid.
You to take care of me.
Yeah, you know, the kind of playful scolding of the one who's healing the wounds that happens in every fanfic ever. And I just have this really intense, I believe it was taking place inside the cockpit of the plane.
It was, that's completely correct. Also within the cockpit of the plane was a tarpaulin, and it said, like, you found a tarpaulin, like, spawn one character, and hidden under the tarpaulin was Jack, which was just so funny to us.
We, like, reveal the tarpaulin and Jack's just under there.
He's crouched under a tarp in the cockpit while Sayid is homoerotically applying eucalyptus to Jin's wound.
I think he didn't want to interrupt.
No, he didn't.
He woke up and he was like,
oh, this is awkward.
And so, yeah, I just really can't take the eucalyptus seriously, unfortunately.
And then whenever it came up in the game afterwards, it was like, ooh, who's it gonna be this time? And then it came up in the show today, and I was like, oh, God. Oh, we're gonna have to talk about this on air.
But the eucalyptus moment I really love, and I love this kind of Michael and Sun, Jin kind of moment as well, where, like, she asks Michael for help, and then when it's like Jin is like obviously says something to the, you know, to the effect of, what are you doing, why are you talking to him?
Yeah.
And that she just walks away. I love that. I love that she's just like, there's more important things happening.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to deal with that.
But also she's not like necessarily jumping to defend herself and argue with him. Yeah. Which I think is very telling of Sun's character as well. You know, it's like she'll stand up for herself at the right moments and in the right way. Because here is like the important thing is that she takes this eucalyptus to go and help Shannon.
That she helps Shannon. And also it being that like she goes and speaks to Michael, even though they're in the caves, you know, someone potentially could have heard them.
Yes. Oh my God.
Jin could have seen.
The first time we watched that, when Jin comes over holding whatever he's holding and sees her talking to Michael, I thought she'd been found out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. He knows.
He's heard her speaking
English. I was shitting my pants. But, no, apparently not.
And I really like that she kind of takes it upon herself to just be like, this is more important. I know how to help her. And that was really, really lovely. And I think that, like, being the kind of saving of Shannon, it's a very nice scene, that scene.
Yeah, and I also think the scene with Jack is really nice as well.
Yeah, his like Jedi mind trick.
Yeah.
God, I love this. It's also a big favourite Jack moment. I mean, obviously Jack has a lot more kind of very intense moments, but I really love that.
Yeah.
Because also, this isn't something that's come up yet, but it is something that comes up a lot later on that I feel is not a spoiler to say, but feel free to stop me if you think it is. There's kind of
How dare you? Sorry, I really made you jump then, didn't I?
I just jump very easily. There's kind of a running there's like a running kind of thing that Jack has no bedside manner.
I was just about to bring this up as well, yeah.
That they say, oh, you know that, doctors are supposed to make people feel calm, you're terrible,
They always make jokes about his terrible bedside manner, but here...
Look at that! And I always
brilliant.
come back to this moment whenever people say it. And there's one moment, I think in a flashback later on, that I also come back to, because I'm like, these are the moments where it's actually like, yeah, he manages to like talk her down from an asthma attack. Mm-hmm. And that's incredible. And I always think about Signs as well.
The M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah, you know the little boy who has asthma and then he's like having an asthma attack and they don't have the inhaler and the dad is like holding him and is like, it's okay, you just have to breathe, and does a very similar kind of speech to what Jack says to Shannon.
I forgot about that part.
It's a good bit because it's really scary because it's like they're hiding from aliens, but like he could just die of an asthma attack that has nothing to do with the aliens.
Low-key kind of like the island, right?
Yeah.
This is...
like it's not the boar, it's not the monster.
Yeah, it's her asthma. And I think the normality of her condition is what brings out Jack's good bedside manner.
Yeah.
Because this is
something he's experienced
an arena he knows and he's used to and he thrives in, right? This is what he knows how to do.
Yeah.
What he doesn't know is eucalyptus. But he will.
Well, he will. He learns.
When him and Sawyer
when he has to
finally
Sawyer's arm.
Breach the sexual tension.
Yeah, I mean,
Shall we talk about
this
Jack
episode's
and
quite
Sawyer?
peak for Jack Sawyer sexual tension, actually.
I love how just openly aggressive Jack is towards
Shut
Sawyer.
up and stop moving.
Yeah.
Again, another very big favourite Jack moment of, I'm gonna kill him. That's not gonna help. Maybe not, but it'll feel good.
I love that bit as well. He says what we're all thinking.
Maybe not, but it'll feel good.
It's so funny. It's funny because Jack is very rarely petty.
Yeah, he's usually like the kind of level-headed,
yeah,
supposedly.
Allegedly.
one.
I mean, I feel like he gets pettier as the show goes on, but this is a really fun moment of him just being like so angry and
it's like Saeed's hissy fit that we talked about a couple episodes ago. Like that, these kind of moments that come out of just like incredibly normal, incredibly like low stakes emotions of him just being like, I want to kill him, I hate him so much.
And I mean, I can relate to that because I have a note here where I've written in all caps, I want to kill Sawyer with my bare hands.
You've got bare hands?
That was so stupid. It's me, I'm the polar bear on the island.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have to say I completely agree with you.
Yeah, I love the bit when when Jack punches Sawyer and the water goes everywhere. I completely forgot about that bit.
And also as well, we talked about in last episode Jack's shoulder, and we were like, is there ever any kind of callback to that? And there is, because he hits Sawyer and then he like holds his arm, because obviously he's right-handed and he's dislocated his right shoulder, so he goes for the punch with his right arm and then goes like, oh
yeah. But the pure rage felt against Sawyer powers him through.
It's like,
does he punch him again as well?
I think the first time he just smacks the water out of his hand, and then the second time he properly hits him.
It looks like he punches him, and
I think maybe he kind of just like smacks the kind of water. It's so funny.
It's great,
and he does that in front of everyone as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird, like, audience moments in this, because, like, when he's calming Shannon down as well, there's, like, an audience just watching that. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, necessary.
It's very strange. But then it does have the great Hurley, that was a Jedi moment. And then something that obviously is built up, but to me it feels like it's just a reaction to that line, is when Sayid, like, it goes like, that was a Jedi moment, and then it pans over to Sayid and he's looking incredibly serious, and then he runs after Jack, and I was like, Saeed's a Jedi?
I've been found out. I've been discovered.
Like, Saeed's about to go to Jack and be like, how did you do that? Magic. It just makes me laugh. And obviously it's a much more...
I can hear Sayid saying these are not the droids you're looking for.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Is Naveen Andrews on Cameo? If so, we are paying him to say
these aren't the droids you're looking for. Obviously in the Sayid accent.
Obviously.
Yeah. I do like that scene. I like the way that Sayid reveals that he's a torturer. Because that scene, that obviously he didn't want to tell people that. Because they've already assumed he's a terrorist. Like, it makes complete and total sense. But the way it's like, I thought you were a communications officer. Part of my job involved getting them to communicate.
No, you've got to deliver it in a more cool way. Part of my job involved getting the enemy to communicate.
But he doesn't say it like that. He doesn't say it in a really intense way.
I think he does.
Says it, to me, he says it quite casually.
I don't think so. I think he's saying, like, the actor is just relishing in that moment. Because it's a really cool line.
It's a very cool line. No, don't get me wrong. It's a brilliant line. Mm-hmm. And I love...
He's got some great lines in this episode.
Good morning.
Smacks.
Good morning, smack.
He's got, unfortunately for us both, you are wrong.
This is an iconic moment. This is... If any of you dear listeners are on Lost TikTok... I can imagine you would have heard that line a million times. I think I would venture to say 50% of all Sayid edits start with that clip. And I'm not mad about it, but it's just really funny that everyone chooses that moment.
Yeah. And one of my favourite Sayid lines, actually,
go on,
was, "I have worse things to fear than what's in the jungle."
Yeah.
Ooh. How good, man.
I think it's just so... Sayid is so interesting in this episode. I know this is the Saywer episode and we barely discussed Saywer at all, but Sayid is so interesting. You should have
expected this by now from us.
He's so interesting in this episode. Because it's the way he kind of takes on this new persona. Like, from that scene where he reveals that he was a torturer.
There's a shift. 100%.
Up until the last scene with Kate, he's a different man. Like, that, like, the way, like... He's framed incredibly threateningly as well. Like, it's definitely something in, like, the way he's lit and the way it's shot. And that, like shooting it from Sawyer's point of view, when he's talking to Jack and then saying, like, and what are you going to do about it? And then it kind of moves up and he's got, like, he's carving the bamboo. Mm-hmm. It's so threatening. And it's like he forgets himself, you know? Like, he takes on this whole new thing.
I definitely wrote down Sayid is in his scary era.
It is. It's really intense.
Yeah. When it's not good, when it's framed from Sawyer's point of view, is good morning.
Good morning.
That seems so goofy.
I love it though. It's
like,
so
what
funny.
on earth? They throw the water in his face to wake him up. There's so much crazy stuff happening in the end, like...
So much happens
section of this episode.
In this episode.
It's just like... I mean... Shall we breach that scene? The bamboo under the fingernails. Oh. I literally got a chill down my spine even when I just said it just then. It's horrible.
It's so awful.
It's so horrible.
And it's like one of the things of like, it's just like it's a uniquely torturing injury. Like a lot of the injuries that have been obtained in this show, and also just in, like, you know, in books and things like that, like things like being punched, being whatever, this is like, it's a uniquely kind of calculated injury to inflict on someone.
Completely.
Which is clearly something that's been trained in him. Like, clearly he's been taught this is a way to inflict a lot of pain. And I know, like, fingernails actually are a lot of focus. I remember reading something about like a soldier who was taken prisoner in, like, World War II, I think, this was in a Horrible Histories magazine, by the way, to set the scene. I'm about 9 years old and I'm reading the woeful Second World War section of the Horrible Histories magazine. I've just completed a sticker activity and I think, what's this little text box here? And it says, there was a soldier who was tortured by, like, I think, obviously German soldiers, presumably, because they were an English soldier, and they would rip out their fingernails.
Oh my god.
Something like 5 at a time or something really horrible. And then also the other torture tactic was leave him in, like, cold water for, like, days.
Oh my god.
9 years old.
What?
And I was like, shit, okay.
That's horrible.
And so I think the, like paying attention to fingernails is something that kind of is like a uniquely kind of injury that's done in torture.
Well, thanks for revealing that, Velvet.
He didn't reveal any of the secrets, and he did survive the war, though, so...
Good for him, he had his fingernails fucking ripped off.
I mean, yeah.
I feel like we have to sit in that now. Horrible story.
I've killed the vibes a little bit, sorry.
So torture.
It is quite horrible that...
no, it's awful.
And also, like, he threatens to take his eye out.
Yeah. I mean, Sayid really goes...
He really goes... Because also, it's like, I think this is something that I think is motivates his leaving at the end of the episode.
Definitely.
Is that he also hates Saywer. And he kind of wants... Like, I think like a small part of him kind of wants to do this. Like, has been wanting... Because Sawyer's been horrible to Sayid. And at this point also he believes, truthfully or not, that it was Saywer who smacked him in the head.
And sabotaged the communications.
What
motivates him for his real attack, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's what he yells right before it. It's like... It's kind of...
He attacked me. That's what he says, isn't it?
He attacked me. It's a bit of that and a bit of, like, kind of pent up, you don't want us to get off this island, you know?
You don't care about us. Like, I think this is an idea that Sayid has built up, is that Saywer just doesn't care about any of the other people. Like, he's withholding the medicine from Shannon. He's sabotaged the communications mission. Like, he doesn't care about anyone else.
Side note. Locke as a little fucking shit stirrer in this episode.
He gives Sayid the knife.
What?
I didn't notice that. He gives Sayid the knife that he then uses to stab Saywer. And also to carve the bamboo.
Yeah. And he's like, you know, he's completely pointing the blame on Saywer. Not least of all being like, well, he could have done the fuse or whatever. But saying, like, use a cigarette, because obviously we see him smoking all the time. And it's like,
absolute fucking gossip.
You have no idea if it was him or not.
He's like, it was clearly Saywer. Look, here's a knife. Calm down, John.
Literally.
I know. That's crazy. That's like John's only scene in this episode as well.
I know.
Insane.
I completely forgot all about that. I don't remember a lot of this episode, to be fair. I did not remember that Saywer got stabbed.
Oh, I remember that.
I know, it's like a huge thing, but
Jax
I completely forgot.
has a bit of an attempt to be badass next episode, I think, in relation to the stab wound.
Oh, okay, well, we'll have to watch out for that.
Yeah, it's awful that like it being like the torture is very calculated from Sayid, but then I think the attack afterwards isn't. Like, that's just a bit of a kind of, he just kind of loses his temper.
Definitely.
And
it's like Jack says, like, you hit an artery. It's like, do you think he was aiming for an artery? Probably not, right?
I don't think so. I think he was just angry. I don't think he was like, I'm going to kill him. Because it seems like that, like, it's like the kind of bicep, isn't it, that the knife gets. And I think if you were aiming to injure, you wouldn't go for that. I got the feeling that it just kind of happened while they were kind of, you know...
Yeah. Ooh, crazy. And then, yeah, like, what a reveal at the end as well. It's like, okay, so we all understand we don't understand the depths of what Sayid is going through. That comes next week.
I love that episode. Okay.
Yeah, me too. But we understand the kind of, like, motivation for him saying, I need to, like, I told myself I would never do that again. That's not who I am. I need to go. I need to leave this place. Like, kind of like a shame, but also like
it's like a sort of penance, like a self-imprisonment.
Yeah, or like a kind of meditational thing almost. Like, I need to spend some time with myself and really unpack this.
Realise what it was that drew him.
So it all makes sense, but it's wild.
It's crazy.
That he's like, I'm gonna just fuck off. He's like, says to Kate, like, I hope we see each other again. It's like, he might never come back.
Like, does he think he's just gonna go off and then he's gonna get killed? Like,
I don't know.
It's crazy.
Once again, it's like, he's the only one sort of with his head screwed on, properly planning things, because he's like, someone needs to map the...
Yeah, I think if any one of the survivors could survive on their own, I think if Sayid had been the only survivor of the crash, he'd probably be fine.
Real.
You know, like, I think he's got some of the best survival instincts, and yeah,
John would be fine because he simply wouldn't be getting off the island.
He'd simply set up camp.
Yeah, kill some boar, you know, run through the woods,
roll around in the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
He'd have a great time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I think Sayid, he's very practical about it. He's very, you know, he's just saying he's gonna go as like a kind of self-exile to get away from everyone, but also puts a practical spin on it. He says,
yes.
I'll chart the island, I'll find out what else there is. Maybe he'll find, you know, a different cave that's nicer to live in. It's kind of, I think, a bit of part of the thought process.
Yeah, some kind of natural resource. But also, I don't know if this ever actually happens, because I can't remember, but it also gives him a kind of deniability, right? Or gives the others a deniability. If they don't want to tell everyone in the camp that they tortured Saywer.
Oh, I see.
They can just say Sayid's gone to go and trek the coastline.
Yes, that's a very good point. Because at this point, yeah, there's a lot of things that are kind of very secretive.
And I don't imagine they want to be advertising that. Because especially that Jack was involved. Because Jack's supposed to be the leader. He's supposed to be the good guy. The one who's helping everybody. And to find out that he, like...
facilitated that. It's
the
really
torturing.
interesting as a perspective on Jack as a character, this kind of narrative where like he does keep going to Saywer and just hitting him, but it's like that Sayid kind of is like, listen, he's not going to give it to you because you guys already have this whole thing going on. And it's like, I think Sayid's, that conversation is a bit of an acknowledgement of like, Jack doesn't have, at the risk of quoting his father, doesn't have what it takes to do what has to be done. Is Sayid's perspective, I think. And then Jack has to just like that, you know, when Sayid is like, you know, doing the bamboo, Jack kind of like, he turns away and he's like, it's obvious that he's really uncomfortable by it, but he's kind of like, he doesn't want, he knows that they need the medicine.
Yeah, in his mind, this is all Sawyer's fault. I don't know if that's strictly true, but he keeps saying, you know, like, he had his chance, we tried to work it out.
Yeah, I mean, with the perspective being that Saywer has the medicine and isn't giving it up, I do kind of agree with that. Like, he had an opportunity to be a decent person, supposedly, and give them the medicine, or at least say, I don't have it, you know? And that Jack...
But what I think is a huge part of it is Jack trying to absolve his own conscience for going to such extreme measures.
Definitely, yeah. And trying to also be like, it's not personal. Like, I think a part of it is him being like, it's not about the fact that I don't like him. It's not about Kate, you know. It's about the medicine.
Yeah.
Which, obviously, it gets pretty personal for Sayid and Jack, you know, with them wanting to, you know, go for Saywer.
Yeah, I mean...
And, like, can you blame them? I mean, self-proclaimed Saywer is trying to get everyone to hate him.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because it's like... I don't know, is it self-proclaimed, or is this the conclusion that Kate comes to?
And that's a good point, actually. I mean, I don't think he says... You're right, I want people to hate me.
But it seems pretty obvious, right?
It seems like
we follow Kate's line of reasoning.
Yeah. And it seems like also when Kate says to him, you want people to hate you and I'm not buying it, his response to that is to get her to read the letter. And he knows that she'll think that the letter was written to him, and he knows that that will make her hate him. You know, like, the point of that scene is for him to be like, I am a terrible person. Look at this. Yeah. So I do think he is trying. He maybe not trying to make people hate him, but he's not making an effort to challenge their hatred.
Yes,
you know?
And he is actively being like, especially in this episode, you know, he could just say, I don't have the medicine, you know, and so he is actively...
He's actively pushing
encouraging the hate, and also like saying like, I know you want to kill me, when Jack is like, you know, I know you want to let go of the wound,
and say like, I would let you die if it was me.
And it's like, but the interesting thing that the writers do in this episode is the audience also hates Saywer, or at least we do.
Presumably, I think you're supposed to, at least at this point in time, but really not like him.
But then they make you address that hate or like that dislike. Like, you know, hate's a very strong word.
You kind of have to reevaluate, don't you?
You absolutely do, because it's like suddenly it all becomes revealed as to why he is the way he is, and you suddenly have like a lot of pity for him, and it's like,
and it's so heartbreaking.
He's been through such a horrible thing in his life, and finally you understand it, and it's like you have to reassess your response to him as a character.
Absolutely. And I think it's Saywer, as much as I do dislike him, I think he is one of the best written characters.
He's certainly well written. There are a lot of well-written characters, though.
There are a lot of well-written characters. I think he's an incredibly well-written character, and I think he's an incredibly well-acted character. And I think you get so much depth from him that you are, like you say, forced to confront why it is that you don't, you know, what you assume about him, what you don't, you know, what you don't like about him. And the thing is, I do still not like him.
Yeah.
But my reasoning for that is that, yes, okay, he's been through something horrible, absolutely horrible, you know, heartbreaking. And the fact that he's turned into it obviously will have sparked a lot of self-hatred in him, which then makes sense as to why he pushes people away and he doesn't want people to...
It's a tragedy, like he says.
It's so tragic. But the thing is, none of that excuses his racism. None of that excuses his fat phobia. None of that excuses the fact that he's sexually harassing Kate constantly. And that is what I don't like.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Like, all of those comments are so unnecessary, and they have nothing to do with his history.
And I think the most upsetting, one of the most upsetting, and like where I literally can't look at the screen moments in all of Lost is in this episode, is when he like forces Kate to kiss him. Like, I just find it so abhorrent. Like,
it's so awful. Like, the fact that he still, even when reduced to that level, like, he's still just being an arse about it.
Yeah, it's disgusting, quite frankly.
And also that Kate has to be put in that position where she feels like if she doesn't, Shannon's gonna die.
Yeah, it's hugely manipulative.
And he knows that that's how she's gonna feel, and he knows that he doesn't even have the medicine. Yeah. So even if she does it, she could die anyway. At this point, they have no idea what Sun's doing.
I mean, we kind of saw a bit of this in the last episode, right? Where he just thinks that Jack's dead, and he's like
so
kind
nonchalant about it,
relishing in it almost as an opportunity to kind of get one up on him with Kate. You know, what the hell is that?
Helicopter ?
It's the plane. It's gonna crash on our house. Oceanic Flight 815.
Yeah, it's horrible. It is.
Anyway, let's use the plane distraction as a segue to not talk about this anymore, because I can't. I want to, you know...
It's a really difficult thing to discuss, and it is a difficult thing to kind of breach in terms of the, like we say, the sympathy you have for Saywer in conjunction with the dislike. But my opinion is just that those things can coexist.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's a complex character.
Yeah. And none of the characters in the show are at all perfect or at all concretely one thing. Yeah. And you get a lot of layers and a lot of complexity from pretty much everyone. And I think he's a really prime example of that. That, like, I can dislike him and I can also acknowledge, you know, the horrible things that he's been through, and I can also feel massive sympathy for that.
Yeah.
In the same way that you can acknowledge that Saeed having tortured people is not a good thing.
We really see a kind of more horrible side to Sayid in this episode as well.
It's almost a reverse of Saywer. Because I think you like Sayid up until now, and then finding out that this is what he does, and he has a kind of ease and comfort with it, is almost the opposite. It's almost going, oh God.
That's probably intentional, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think Sayid and Saywer are definitely pitted against each other in this beginning, sort of in the beginning seasons.
Sawyer's kind of pitted against everyone, though.
He's
also pitted against Jack, and he's also pitted against Kate.
But I think, like, Sayid and Saywer are really interesting as, like, mirrors of each other's character. And that they are constantly in conflict. Like, I can't think of a single time, really, across all 6 seasons, I don't think, where they're kind of in agreement about something.
Real. I've got no idea if that's true or not, but I'm willing to believe it.
I'm willing to believe it. I'm trying to think over the seasons, and I can't really think of anything. So it's that kind of reflection that they are just kind of opposites of each other. But you're completely right in that a lot, Saywer is pitted against a lot of characters, but also a lot of the characters are just reflected against each other frequently. You know, I think Jack and Kate are written in parallel. I think Kate and Sayid are written in parallel. I think Saywer and Jack, and Saywer and Sayid, and so many characters, you know, and John and Jack, and so many characters are written to be these kind of mirrors of each other in the way their characters are designed. And I think it's a really good mark of good storytelling that in a story with so many characters, you have all these really unique dynamics and all these unique traits that they bring out in each other. Yeah, I didn't actually make a whole lot of notes on this episode. I feel like I kind of knew... I don't think my opinion of it has been changed on this time around. I think a lot of the episodes we've discussed previously, I've been like, oh, but that one kind of sucks, or that's a really good episode, and I've been, you know, I've changed my opinions, or I've discovered new layers to it. And I kind of feel the same about this episode, I think, than I did the first and the second time.
Yeah, the thing about this episode on the whole is that it's like, I have a lot of negative feelings about it, and I would never sort of choose to watch it. I would never go, let's put on Confidence Man.
No, me
because
neither.
I don't want to watch a Saywer-centric episode because he's like my least favourite character.
100%, me too.
But there is so much that goes on in this episode, you know, like the kind of really dramatic torture scene, followed by the kind of stabbing, followed by the kind of Sayid, all of that stuff is really, I mean, it's interesting at the very least, it's exciting, you know. And then you have like a sort of very emotional gut wrench at the end, and throughout, and then you've got like I just remembered there's one scene, I think, where Charlie and Claire are hanging out laundry and just like flirting and it being really cute, and then it immediately cuts to Shannon having an asthma attack.
Yeah, they're like talking about how Charlie misses banoffee pie, and then it immediately cuts to Shannon like wheezing,
battling with death.
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
mean,
Jesus,
this is one of the other. This is like the only thing I think I have written down that I haven't quoted already, haven't discussed already, is the incredibly, almost comically, I'm gonna go with comically American from this line from Saywer.
I think I know what line
very
you're gonna
early
say.
on when Jack says, "Give me the medicine," he goes, "Well, I don't know what kind of commie share fest you're having in Cave Town."
Yeah. Oh dear.
And I wrote it down, and I actually accidentally wrote down commie cave fest in Sharetown, and then I went, hang on.
Love that. What would a commie cave fest look like?
Pretty fun, I would imagine.
I'm picturing a kind of like a rave in the cave. A rave in the cave.
Rave in the cave.
Why don't they ever do that?
Do you think Karl Marx would be one for a rave?
Yes.
That's very confident.
He's dancing to Britney Spears' Toxic on the dance floor.
Do you think he likes Joyride?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I think he would, actually.
Yeah.
What character in Lost do you think would enjoy Joyride the most?
Very good question. I think it's either going to be... Charlie wouldn't like it.
I think he would.
I think he would...
I'm going to argue with you on that one.
He wouldn't like it from a musical perspective. He'd be like, everything's going on at once. What is this? You know?
Yeah.
Where's the guitar? That's real music, you know?
But I do think he would enjoy the vibes. I think Shannon would really dislike it.
Shannon would hate it.
I think she would like Kesha's early stuff.
Oh, she's very much a TikTok
She likes
girly.
TikTok. I think she likes what's the blah 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 that everyone makes all the edits to. I think she likes that stuff. But I think she would listen to Joyride and be like, she's gone off. Yeah. She's fallen off. She's terrible now.
Yeah,
I hate it.
I reckon Jack would never have heard the song before, but someone would play it to him and he'd be like, oh, this is really good. He'd be like dad dancing to it in the corner, like, hey, this is fun.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
I think...
You know what? This is going to be a left field one.
Oh my god.
John.
No, he likes
John likes Drive Shaft.
Yeah. I don't think they're the same vibe.
No, but I think he listens to new music. I think he goes out of his way to listen to, like, new music, and I think he'd listen to him and be like, I like this tune. And he'd sit with his headphones on while he does his paperwork at his big computer.
I agree that he probably listens to the charts, but I don't agree that he would like it.
I think he'd like the accordion bit at the beginning. You know,
I forget how wild
I saw a video the other day about I'm sure Joyride is old news by the time this is coming out, but I saw a video the other day that was Joyride if the rats from Coraline had 1% more input on the song.
What?
Saying it sounds like it was written by the rats from Coraline. I have to say I agree with them.
I can see that, actually. I can see that. So who has the vibe that's closest to the rats from Coraline? Boone,
I guess. I think Boone would like. I think Boone is a diehard Kesha fan, actually. And I think he would make a point of loving Joyride because Shannon hates it.
Yes,
he
definitely.
would like put it on,
play it all the time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they'd get in his car and he'd be like, "It's my car. I pick the music," and then he exclusively played Joyride on loop,
for the entire journey. And she's like physically like trying to wrestle the wheel off him. Yeah,
trying to crash the car. I really see that for them.
Completely do. I feel like Hurley would be a fan too.
Yeah. I think Hurley's like a listens to everything kind of guy.
I agree.
Like, he's one of those genuine, he will listen to whatever you put on, and he'll probably quite like it. Like, I think he's just he listens to everything.
I mean, he's like one of the only characters who actually listens to music in the show.
Yeah.
And we know that it's wild, the CD selection.
We have 2 songs that we know he's listened to.
Contrasting vibe.
Wash Away. I forget what the other one's called.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Called Wash Away.
We had a music montage to end this episode, but it wasn't framed with Hurley's portable CD player.
No, it wasn't.
Which, I mean, I don't know why.
Maybe they were like, he wouldn't fucking listen to that.
I don't even remember what the song was.
No, I have no memory. I don't even remember there being music, to be completely honest with you.
And it was like, it was quite a fun montage, actually, because it had like, Shannon had like a blanket over her shoulders.
Thank you.
And then it shows Saywer like leant up against the tree, and he's like trying to burn the letter.
I did write this down. He tries to burn the letter, but it's like he doesn't get that closure. And I think that's really, really important.
I totally agree.
And it's an incredibly important moment of he tries to let it go. I think after this episode, it kind of brings it all to a point for Saywer, where he gets what he wants. He gets, everyone hates him and they want to kill him and they want to attack him. And then it doesn't go anywhere, you know? And at the end of the day, Jack still bandages up his arm and Kate still talks to him about what happened to him. And it's like he's never going to get that hatred off of everyone. And I think he tries to let go of it, but he just can't. When he tries to burn the letter.
Yeah. It's like, the sort of... No, I can't say that. I was going to make a really, really terrible pun.
Go on. You have to say it now.
No, I can't say it.
You have to say it now. I'm not going to let us move on until you say it.
The different kinds of baggage they carried with them on the plane. Hopefully the sound of that ice cream truck outside will mean we have to cut this bit from the podcast.
I don't know if you can hear that, but there is an incredibly loud ice cream truck driving by. How
that
fitting.
Was deafening.
That
so ice cream truck.
It comes by every day at this time, and it's so loud every time.
Yep.
We'll
have to make sure that we record at this time.
Every week.
So you can hear the ice cream truck. Oh, there it goes again, like a little
cameo.
Yeah, recurring character.
We'll get the ice cream truck driver on as a guest. So yeah, but what I was going to say actually, in a genuine commentary on the lighter moment, not a stupid pun, Ariel.
Look, I thought of it. I didn't want to say it. You forced me to. Okay.
No, you're right. You're so right. That it reminded me of something you mentioned in, I think, the pilot part 2.
Not the pilot.
Where he, Sawyer is lighting a cigarette. Oh no, it's after he kills the marshal, that's it.
Yes.
And his hands are really shaking. And he can't light the cigarette properly. And in this moment his hands were completely steady.
That's so true.
And I just, because you pointed it out, I never would have thought of it, but because you pointed it out, I thought like, oh my gosh.
There's a great bit as well when Kate first brings up the letter where you see like a close-up on his face and it's like he's barely like moving his eyes, moving his eyebrows, mouth, anything, but you know that something has shifted. Yeah. And it's like a stillness that is so good.
Absolutely.
Like
and I think
rich,
like,
you know,
in a really weird way, it was killing the marshal was like a good deed from Sawyer. It's a moment where he's trying to do the right thing. And I think that he tries to do the right thing and it went wrong is almost that kind of, I think, might be what like triggers that massive, that fear, that shaking. Whereas this feeling, I think, is probably something he's more familiar with.
Yeah.
Of the feeling of everyone hating him and, you know, of trying to let go of what happened to him when he was younger and not being able to must be something he's tried to face before.
Yeah. So this show is so dark, man.
Oh my god. This is only scratching the surface. You get every single flashback that comes, you just go, oh. Like there's certain ones that you just go, oh my god, this character's had such an awful, awful, sad life.
Yeah. To talk about the goofiness of the flashbacks for one moment.
Yeah.
There's one moment that I think is quite goofy in these flashbacks, which is when Sawyer's at the lunch with the husband and wife, and he goes like, you know, I'm going to walk away from the deal or whatever. And then he starts walking and then they go, wait. And he just does the most smug smile you've ever seen in your life.
It's a face Megamind would make. Actually, no. It's a face Gru would make, I think.
Or Vector.
Yeah.
It's the smugness for me. It's just so much. And the camera is so close to his forehead.
He gets so close to the camera. And this image actually comes up on Google. If you Google Sawyer, I was trying to find a picture for like a joke I was making. And that comes up. And it's just really funny as a representation of his character. Well, yeah.
So, I mean, I think we've covered everything, right?
I think so.
I mean, we haven't talked a whole lot about the flashbacks, but then again, I can't be asked. Like,
I think they kind of speak for themselves, you know?
Yeah.
And we've discussed the significance of this episode to Sawyer's character, and I think that's kind of indicated in the flashbacks, you know? I don't think there's anything more to say particularly. Oh, just that Sawyer leaves the money in the house.
Yeah.
In the final flashback.
That's a really good flashback, actually. Probably the best one of the episode. I mean, there's not a lot of competition. I don't like the flashbacks in this episode.
No.
But that one, because that's also the moment where you get
realise
the twist,
it's not him.
And it's not the letter's not being written to him. because as soon as he sees the kid, again, there's like the stillness, right? And there's like kind of long zoom on his face before he goes like the deal's off, and he says it quite quietly. And yeah, he leaves the money, which is obviously really important because it's like, this is all he cares about. But not only that, we know that the guy, if he doesn't get his money back, is going to come after him.
Yeah.
So it's like he's going to deal with the consequences of this.
Like, he now owes this man like 200 grand. Mm-hmm. And he's, you know, threatened to kill him.
Yeah.
So this is a really intense thing that he even leaves the money that he got from the guy. Like, he doesn't even take that. His priority is getting out of there, and after he sees the little boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, other than that, I feel that's kind of everything I have to say about this episode.
Yeah, I think me too. Do you fancy doing a round of subjective Guess Who?
Yeah, sure. Maybe try and end this on a little bit of a lighter
note. On a happier note, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all for sticking with us. This is obviously an intense episode.
It's an intense episode. It's one that kind of, I think to have treated it, to have not taken it seriously would be dishonest to the episode.
Yeah.
Because it's an incredibly serious episode and it does need to be treated like that, as much as we have discussed some kind of silly things in it. Mm-hmm. But I do think, yeah, it's quite intense. Yeah. And so yeah, thank you for sticking around. And we're going to try and end on a bit of a happier note. Mm-hmm. So, do you want to go first or shall I go first?
I'll pick a character first.
Okay. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, what is this character's opinion on poodles?
Wow. What an excellent opening question.
Just came to me.
Just straight out the gate.
I want to see if I can guess it based on just that, actually.
Oh my god, as if.
I feel like if you get specific enough. No, I probably won't.
I think they're a dog person, but I don't think necessarily a poodle would be the sort of pet of choice. I think probably if they saw a poodle in the street, they'd go up to it. But I don't think, a poodle would be... I feel like they would go for a bit of a bigger dog.
Okay.
Probably one of those, I don't know the names of dog breeds, one of those ones that slobbers everywhere or something that I don't like.
Okay. And so a big one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I reckon.
Interesting. Do you know what? The most insane, wild, crazy question just came to me. And now I have to ask it. What is their favourite Mr. Men?
Ooh. Good one.
This is inspired by I have a Mr. Tickle mug that I'm drinking from right now. And I just looked at him and I went, I need to know.
Now, favourite, or which one is their vibe?
Which one would they be if they were a Mr. Man or a Little Miss? I love women.
I'm gonna go based off of vibe and or appearance.
Yeah, not necessarily based on the personality.
Yeah, because if I say like Mr. Messy, it's not because like they're super messy. Mm-hmm. I think it would probably either be Little Miss Somersault. No, Little Miss Tall, the one who's always doing somersaults.
Little Miss
Somersault. Yeah, Little Miss Somersault. Or Mr. Sneeze.
Interesting. Tall and blue.
Tall and blue, that's what we're getting from this.
Tall and blue.
It's Avatar. I haven't seen the movie.
The Avatar. I think they all have names. Okay, if I was to invite this character round to my house for dinner, and I said, like, I'm cooking, what would their response be? Would they, like, give me a list of dietary requirements? Would they be like, that's fine, I'll just eat whatever you make? Would they kind of want some options beforehand? Would they want to bring their own food?
I reckon they would eat whatever you made, but we're vegetarian. I don't know if we've said that before on the podcast. I reckon they would be a little bit annoyed that there wasn't meat.
Is it John?
It's not John, no.
After the dog question, I was convinced it was John.
Yeah.
I mean, the Mr. Men threw me, but I was like, I think he'd get really pissed off if I tried to serve him corn.
Yeah, he would. But I think John is probably more Mr. Strong.
Eggs.
Eggs.
I think he's a big fan of eggs, actually. That one scene where Mr. Strong has like 1,000,000 eggs and he makes the massive omelette. That's John.
1000%.
I was going to ask Mario Kart main, but we discussed that last episode, so that's not...
If it helps, I think that they would bring a bottle of wine to the dinner at the house.
Okay.
But not a side dish. Maybe a side dish, if they were feeling it.
Would they bring the wine unprompted, or would they say, oh, if you're cooking, I'll bring a drink, what do you want?
Unprompted.
Okay.
I reckon.
What type of milk would they get in their coffee?
So you're asking if they're gay or not?
Yes.
I think I'm going to go with oat. Oat or normal.
Oat. Interesting. Are you Kate?
Yes.
Yes.
It is Kate.
The wine one. I was like, that's, I think. Is Little Miss Somersault because she climbed up a tree. Climbed up a tree to escape the marshal.
I feel like it's her energy. Like, climbing trees, lots of energy, always doing stuff. Kind of a bit... like, in the way a little bit.
No, definitely. I think Little Miss Somersault has... Not Mr. Sneeze.
You don't think that Kate has Mr. Sneeze energy?
No, Mr.
Just
Sneeze
like the
is
spiky little shape.
Mr. Sneeze is, like, really insecure. Isn't he?
Is he? Don't remember. I was mainly going off the visuals for Mr. Sneeze, to be fair.
Okay, well, you threw me. I mean, John doesn't have Mr. Sneeze energy either, but, you know. You know what, actually, John... He's not Mr. Strong, he's Little Miss Grumble.
Ooh, is she the purple one?
Yeah, he's just really bitchy.
That's him in this episode.
Yeah.
Real.
Little Miss Grumble. Okay.
Amazing. Do you want to do one?
Yeah, I go on then.
Okay.
Let me think. Okay. I've got a character.
What is this character's favourite flavour of soup?
Interesting. Going in with the big questions.
Uh-huh. I'm not holding back.
I think not tomato. I don't know that many soup flavours.
Are we going to go process of elimination here? Are we going to go through all the soups?
Well, I don't know about 4 soups. I think, like, they'd want, like, a soup... Like, you know that soup that Mum makes that's, like, stock and then it's, like, broccoli and potatoes and carrots and stuff in it? Mm-hmm. I think they'd like that kind of thing.
More of a stew
More
than
of a stew person.
A stew rather than a soup.
Than a soup person. I feel like they'd be like, but it's not a meal. Though, is it?
Ooh, interesting. Okay, so the reason they prefer stew is it's more like a meal.
They'd be like, it's just a bunch of liquid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm getting an animosity towards soup. Interesting.
I really hope that's canon. I'm going to scour the TV show. I'm going to get on the wiki, see if I can find out if they hate soup.
Would this character ever wear high heels, and if so, what kind?
Ooh. I think... You know what? You might disagree with me on this one once you've figured it out. But I actually think they wouldn't wear heels. I think they would wear, like, platforms.
Okay.
But not, like, a shoe with like a high heel shoe.
Sure.
They wouldn't wear.
Okay.
But they would wear, like, yeah, a platform shoe.
Interesting.
Maybe, potentially one of the ones that, like, goes all the way up your leg, but maybe not.
Okay. If it was a fancy event.
If the situation demanded.
Mm-hmm. If they were in the cave rave.
Exactly. I think if they were going to the cave rave, they have big shoes on.
Love it. Slay. Okay. What is this character's... What is this character's favourite season and or the season vibe that fits them the best?
Okay.
Whichever's easier to answer.
I would say in terms of, like, favourite season vibe, like, spring, like, late spring, early summer.
Okay.
But I also think they'd be a massive fan of Halloween. Not necessarily winter as a whole, but I think they'd really like Halloween.
Ooh, now that's thrown me. I thought I had it then.
But I think in terms of their vibe as a person, like, beginning of summer, end of spring type of vibe.
Is it Hurley?
No.
Oh, okay.
Can you see Hurley in a big platform?
Yeah, I can.
I actually can, yeah.
It was between Hurley and Jack after the platform question, I can't lie. And I was
brilliant.
like, I feel like Jack does have spring summer energy, but I don't think he'd like Halloween.
No, he'd think it was like a frivolous holiday.
Yeah. If some kids knocked on his door to trick or treat, he'd be like, oh, can't I just leave the bowl outside, you know?
Yeah. And then he'd get pissed off when they took all the sweets. He'd like leave the bowl outside and be like, selfish children.
I was going to have those after.
I don't think he's a big holidays person, really, Jack.
No. Probably because he doesn't like his family.
Probably. I was going to say, he doesn't really like a family
I can't
get-together.
imagine Thanksgiving is a lot of fun in his house.
God, Thanksgiving in the Shepherd household.
Oh
Can
my
you imagine?
God. Imagine if they did a Thanksgiving episode with all of the fucking, like, fucked up families that come out of this show.
Oh my God, none of them would be good. The only family, I was going to say the only family that would have a nice time is probably Charlie's, but he's British, so they don't have Thanksgiving.
Real. It just cuts to them on, like, and they're just sat on a normal Tuesday
It's just like a regular Thursday.
Watching the football. Oh yeah, it's on a Thursday, isn't it?
It's always a Thursday because Black Friday's the day after.
And ask about their opinion on B&M, but no, I'm joking.
B&M bargains.
It's because I saw the B&M bargains bag above
You know
me.
what? I think they'd be a massive fan of B&M bargains.
Do you?
I think they really like a good trip to B&M.
Love that. Amazing. Okay. So what have we got so far? Spring/summer energy, but
fan
love
of Halloween. Platform boots.
Platform boots in the club, in the cave rave. Fan of Black Friday. Fan of B&M bargains.
Fan of B&M bargains.
Well, are they a fan of Black Friday?
Probably not. No.
B&M, but not Black Friday. That's where they draw the line.
B&M on Black Friday. Can you imagine?
That'd be wild. And not a soup fan. Prefers a stew. Because it's more hearty.
Because it's got more to it. Mm-hmm. It's an insane list of facts about this character.
Picture we are painting of this person.
I'm imagining, like, in your head, like a blank canvas that's just, like, wearing a pair of platform boots and holding a bowl of stew and, like, a B&M bag.
That's exactly what I'm picturing.
And wearing, like, a pumpkin mask or something. That's the character. I would say that's a fairly accurate representation of them as a character, actually.
Okay.
It would be insane if you were to ask me what my thoughts were on this character and I listed those 4 things, but I think also you wouldn't be able to dispute me on it.
Is it Charlie?
It is Charlie.
Oh, God, that was a hard one.
Really?
That was hard, yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. I thought you were going to disagree with me because I feel like if I'd asked you if Charlie would wear high heels, you would say, like, yes. You'd say he'd wear, like, a heeled boot situation.
I think I can see him in, like, big sort of, like, the kind of drag queen heels, you know, like, huge, 8-inch or whatever. But I can also see him in platforms.
But I think my reasoning was... I feel like if he was to put high heels on, he would immediately fall over. Mm-hmm. And I also think he's a short king, so he would wear platform shoes to try and give himself a bit of a boost.
Oh, just in his day-to-day.
When talking to the ladies, you know?
See. Yeah.
And then I think, like, the big shoe would be, like, for a concert. You know, for a Drive Shaft show, he'd put on a big...
Oh, Drive
boot.
Shaft are obviously playing the cave rave.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He's doing the music. Against everyone's will.
No one wants him to apart from John. B&M. He's a B&M fan.
He's a B&M fan. He likes a bargain. 1000%, but not Black Friday. I agree with that. He'd be like, no, it's where all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, he'd be like, I respect my life. I don't want to get my arm broken by a woman over a microwave. Halloween? You don't think he'd like Halloween?
I do think he'd like Halloween, but I don't think he necessarily has a spring-summer vibe. I think it's a more summer-autumn
Maybe
vibe.
more like a midsummer.
Midsummer, yeah.
Energy.
Well, because I swear we were discussing zodiacs. As you do, we were talking about what zodiac signs all the lost characters would be. And we were like, he's Leo.
He's definitely a Leo. I don't know if he has a canon birthday, but I don't care what it is, he's definitely a Leo.
Yeah. If it's not Leo, then they fucked up. Real. So
speaking as a Leo. Yeah, no, that's like end of July, August. So yeah.
So I think that contributes to the vibe.
But I think he'd like Halloween. I think I got like I can have quite a vision of like little like Liam and Charlie going out trick or treating. You know, and doing like matching costumes and stuff.
I can imagine him getting into it as an adult as well.
Yeah, I think he's one of those people who plans his costume like months in advance.
Also, like, he likes a party.
Yeah, people like you could go up to him, I think, at any point in the year and say, "What are you going to be for Halloween?" and he'd give you an answer. You know?
I like that.
The soup question I didn't know how to answer, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I just think he wouldn't.
You don't think he's a carrot and coriander guy?
Maybe. I don't know that much about soup, to be honest with you.
Fair.
I'm not really a soup enjoyer. Maybe I was just projecting. I'm just not. I don't like soup.
Yeah.
But I don't mind.
I can
the
see
stew.
I can see his animosity towards soup, though. I can see that.
The only soup I like is broccoli and coconut soup, which is some weird, crazy recipe our mother found in like a vegan cookbook, which is actually really nice.
I don't like it. Sorry, Mum. I mean, I don't mind it, but cream of tomato is...
I mean, I don't like tomatoes, as we know, so...
Yeah. I love tomatoes. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I feel whenever it comes to a point where I have to make a decision about Charlie, if in doubt, I just kind of make a decision about myself and go, it's probably right. You know?
Love that. You think you're the most similar to Charlie?
I think if I was... Like, I think if I was to take, like, a which character are you quiz or whatever, you know, I think out of all the characters, I'm most like Charlie, I think.
I don't know who I'm most like.
I might be most like Boone, actually, regrettably. Massively regretfully, I feel I would try and be involved in everything, and people would kind of be like, we don't need you here, it's okay. But then I also think equally, if someone was to be like, it's okay, we don't need you here, I'd be like, great. You would not catch my ass on a hike.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, I'm gonna go sit down. So maybe not. Maybe a bit of Boone, a bit of Charlie, I think.
A bit of Boone, a bit of Charlie. I think I probably... I want to say that I have a bit of, like, you know, like Saeed's kind of level-headedness being like, we need to get off the island. But
the, like, siphoning water and the technology stuff.
In reality, no. I think I'd be pretty useless.
I think you would be that one bit where Shannon's screaming in the pilot.
Yeah, I think that's me, actually.
I don't think you're very much like most like characters, to be honest.
I mean, I don't think you are either. But I can see the Charlie/Boone vibe.
I mean, I think the issue is a lot of them have very specific characters in that they are very much products of their incredibly intense upbringings. And so you can't really organically just produce that.
Yeah.
You know what? I kind of see Michael for you.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
That's nice. I think Michael's really cool.
I kind of see that.
Again, I don't have the technical know-how.
No, not the engineering stuff, but like I think the kind of on the periphery, but like important when you need to be, you know, I think you'd go and talk to Sun and Jin.
Yeah, I would.
You try and engage with them, I feel.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll take that, definitely.
And on that much lighter note, let's wrap it up.
I think so.
So thank you all so much for listening. This has been an interesting one, but I feel good about it.
Yeah, I feel like we've had a good discussion, definitely.
Yeah. We've tapped into a bit of the more serious side, which definitely will be, you know, returning. We'll definitely be having more conversations like this, which, you know, I like those. I had an incredibly long spiel once. This is where we return to my monologuing when I'm alone. I sat on my windowsill once and I just monologued into the open air about redemption arcs and how they're written in the show and Sawyer's character. And with a lot of the stuff that I said today about how, like, you know, when you learn his backstory, it's incredibly heartbreaking, but it doesn't excuse a lot of his behaviour. And things like that, and how that's just kind of treated as like, oh, he's just like that. When it's like, no, he's just being fatphobic. And so, like, yeah, I do kind of enjoy those parts of it when you get to really get into it. But yeah, obviously I enjoyed the goofiness as well. But I've had a good time today.
Yeah. It's been fun.
It's been good. As ever, follow us if you like what you hear. Follow us online at lostallcaps-podcast across
on most things,
all platforms. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Tumblr, YouTube, Spotify.
Yeah, please, give us a like, comment on the YouTube videos, Instagram.
If you have thoughts, I know a lot of people are really big fans of Saywer. If you disagree with anything we've said, if you want to put in your 2 cents, feel free to comment.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what other people think, because I think it's so important to be able to share, your opinions and maybe change people's views. So if you massively disagree with anything I've said, feel free to leave a comment on a video somewhere and let me know, because I'd love to read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah,
you can follow me on Instagram at Ariel Hebditch.
Yeah, and at Velvet Hebditch. Just to see what we're up to.
Yeah, follow Spruce Moose Comedy. That's my comedy troupe. We'll be posting silly little videos on there and doing all kinds of shows, all kinds of
projects and stuff.
And oh god, we've got so much going on. It's amazing,
And thank you so much for being here and for listening to us. And we will be back with you next week for season 1, episode 9, Solitary, which is a brilliant episode.
I'm very excited for next week.
It blew my tiny mind.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's intense, but it's very good.
Very intense.
Very, very good.
Thank you so much.
Next week.
And we'll see you next week.
All right, see you then. Love you.